Anyway. This is not part of the speech, but any of the Facebook people that I've been interacting with, please come and introduce yourself later on before you leave. All right, are we ready? Okay. Once again, thank you so much for coming out. Being together uplifts my spirits more than you can imagine. And before I introduce a very fine candidate for the President of the United States, I want to talk a little bit about myself and Beto. So, I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. That's right, that's right. Thank you, mental people. Anyway, I have dedicated a large part of my professional life to working with people who experience all forms of trauma. And what's happening at the border with inhumane conditions and the separation of families from their children is causing a life of potential mental health and physical illness to these children. So that kind of trauma is scientifically founded as causing lifelong adverse childhood events, lifelong trauma. So I want to talk a little bit about that as far as for us who may be not quite right at the border, but we are experiencing our own form of trauma, of vicarious trauma, and feeling powerless and feeling like we don't know what to do in order to help the situation. That is a trauma, and I think we need to acknowledge that. So, Beto is my ideal candidate to deal with the immigration and border issue that we're facing right now. He was a councilman in El Paso, and then he spent 6 years representing El Paso as a congressperson. And he knows border issues. He knows what it means to have border, what it means business day to day. He has brought a light to the humanitarian crisis, but he also understands what it needs to deal with this increasing influx of people coming to our country. So I really think he, of all the candidates, is the one to help guide us through this time. I work at Brooklyn College as a psych nurse practitioner, as I mentioned. That's right, go Bulldogs. And Brooklyn College, I'm so very proud to say, is the #1 most diverse campus in the Northeast. And my patients are immigrants, my patients are DACA students who have dealt with the stress of knowing if their status was going to be revoked. My patients currently right now are wondering if, for example, their aunt who is in the country caring for an ailing grandmother is going to be pulled away by ICE. These are real problems right now that I am dealing with my patients. And these are patients who are working full-time while managing a full course load, trying their best to be present, not worry about the future and how they're going to pay back looming debt. So I can't imagine, I marvel at how these college students are getting through it. So why am I talking about college? I'm talking about college because I was lucky enough to meet Beto O'Rourke when I was 20 years old. And we were on the crew team together. He is right now showing the tenacity and resilience he developed as a rower and his ability to get up and go town to town, town hall to town hall, and speaking with people across this country. This is important, but I think what brings us together today is also important in terms of this. Beto was my best friend's roommate, and I spent a lot of time with them and listening to music. And Beto introduced me to Bad Religion. Beto introduced me to, well, I knew The Clash. Pretty important, Fugazi. Jonathan Richman. Anyway, I was so lucky to have that world opened to me by a great person and to have music be part of it. And as a musician, I can't admire him any more than that. So while he was rowing in the morning, then going to class reading James Joyce, he was then off to the punk clubs to play shows. All right, so this is for you, Beto. I spoke with my friend Eliza today, his former roommate. Hold on, gotta put my glasses on.
Yeah, no, come on.
And she reminded me of a band that you introduced us to. Okay, hold on, I got this. I'm doing great, I know. It's so awesome. I swear to God, this is all coming from you. All right, here we go. Okay, so Crimp Shine. Crimshine, West Coast band, and the guy in the band was Aaron Comet Bus. Remember Aaron Comet Bus? Anyway, there was a vinyl album. Right around the paper label, in the center was inscribed, quote, "The good old days sucked shit." All right, Beto is our future. The good old days did suck shit, and he is our future. I am so happy to introduce my friend, Beto O'Rourke.
Brooklyn, how are we feeling?